13 News Now begins with breaking news.
And that is this. We have Tropical Storm Irma, but it's not the coastal system that affected Hampton Roads yesterday. Good afternoon. I'm Andre Sr.
And I'm Lucy Bustamante. Our storm never really grew into a powerful named storm, but a short time ago, a system in the Atlantic became strong enough to gain the name Irma.
And this comes as rescue scenes like this continue to unfold in Houston. You see it there on your screens on the lower part, the left side of your screen there. Underwater this afternoon, Houston still remains that way because of Harvey, and everyday heroes like a truck driver using a semi to pull strangers from floodwaters that has gripped the area now for days.
And then a heartbreaking story out of Beaumont, Texas, a city that is 85 miles east of Houston. Authorities found a shivering toddler clinging to her drowned mother. That child is being treated for hypothermia as we speak. We're going to have much more on the devastation coming out of Texas in just a minute.
But we go now to meteorologist Tim Pandages with an update on Tropical Storm Irma. Tim, this is still a long way out, but we still have to watch it.
Yeah, it's developed 3,000 miles away from the east coast of the United States, so it still has a lot of ground to cover before it gets anywhere near a threat to the U.S. Let's talk about it now. The 11 a.m. advisory here has it already with winds at 50 miles an hour, and it is expected to become a hurricane by Friday morning, a Category 1 hurricane. And then from there, there's a lot of speculation whether it goes farther north or farther south. Why? Well, the computer models. Each line you see here is a different rendering of the scenario that could play out. Some, as it gets towards the end of this forecast period, goes a little bit farther north, and some go a little farther south. This time of the year, it's almost just as important to see the strength and the positioning of something called a Bermuda high that sits over the middle parts of the Atlantic. If it was to be rather weak, that'll usually drive these systems to move west and then do that little loop out to sea, and we call it a fish storm at that point. If it's just a little bit stronger and positioned a little bit farther towards the west, it'll actually push it right towards the eastern seaboard. If it's really, really strong, then it'll push it even farther to the west and way south of our region and into the Gulf of Mexico, an area that obviously does not need it anywhere soon. Now, there has been several areas of concern that have developed over the past 30 years. Since 1987, the Cape Verde hurricanes, this is what that would be. 9 of them have made landfall as a Category 1 or greater. 16 total landfalls during that time frame in September alone. 8 of them originated from the Cape Verde Islands. So we'll watch this closely. Again, another 10 to 12 days before it's any sort of threat to us, but obviously we'll monitor it for you there. But that's the latest, and we'll talk more about what to expect as we head into the holiday weekend in just a few minutes.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Well, tension in the Houston area. Gas prices are near $9 a gallon at some stores, and cases of water near $50. Flood survivors say after dealing with days of rain and flooding, they are becoming victims of price gougers.
We've seen water up to $99 for a case of water. We've seen fuel prices up to $20 a gallon. We've seen hotels jack prices up sometimes 6-7 times.
Well, the Attorney General reports 600 complaints so far. Offenders facing $20,000 in fines or $250,000 if the victim is over 65 years old.
Well, these aerial shots behind us are not from a bayou. This is actually the devastation outside of Houston right now. And now even more rain is pouring down on eastern Texas and in Louisiana.
The death toll now standing at 20, and there is no escape from the flooding for millions of people trapped in their towns. Maggie Rulli from ABC reports now from Houston.
Harvey made its third and likely final landfall this morning, now forecast to dump more than 20 inches of rain in parts of Louisiana before moving northeast. Flash flood watches now in effect all the way to Tennessee and Florida. The storm drowning neighborhoods along the Gulf Coast. In Port Arthur, floodwaters rush into a shelter, rising to people sleeping in their cots.
You have older people, you have infant babies, kids, walking in this water, and they have all kinds of insects, spiders and frog snakes in this water, and they move this up to the bleachers, but that's not helping. The water is rising up.
FEMA promising help.
That we are supporting the efforts to provide mass care, not only mass care, but also medical care.
Houston still underwater. Rescues continuing around the clock.
The helicopter had came over the house and they came and got us, and we came outside, and I wasn't able to bring anything. It was enough room for me to go in the basket, and for all the kids to fit.
Neighbors springing into action.
Hi, buddy. Y'all hang tight.
Using everything from big rigs to boats and jet skis to answer those desperate calls for help. More than 13,000 people saved in Houston and the surrounding areas, but most are opening up their doors to their neighbors, bonding through devastation.
Here in Houston, we've seen the community pull together. Furniture stores offering sofas to sleep on, mattress stores offering beds, even a taco truck driving to hard-hit neighborhoods handing out free food. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, Houston, Texas.
And this afternoon, video of local military members helping to rescue flood survivors about 90 miles outside of Houston. 6 Navy Skyhawk helicopters from Naval Station Norfolk are taking part in this effort. The aircrafts are from the Helicopter Sea Combat Squadrons 7 and 28. So far, we're told they have rescued more than 200 people, 11 dogs, and 1 kitten.
Here at home, Jack Brown's Beer and Burger Joint in Norfolk is donating all of its profits this week to the American Red Cross to help Harvey victims. On top of that, the Virginia Red Cross chapter has sent more than 40 people to Texas so far. The Salvation Army Hampton Roads Area Command and Operation Blessing also asking for donations to provide support.
And remember, our parent company here at 13 News Now, Tegna, teaming up with the Red Cross to make it easy for you to help Texans in need right now. Head to 13newsnow.com and click on the Texas Cares link on our homepage to donate directly to the Red Cross Hurricane Harvey Disaster Relief Fund. All donations are tax deductible, and we're thrilled with your generosity. In the first 24 hours, you donated over $1 million.
Well, we are going to be following the devastation in Texas. You can always get the latest news on air, online, and on the free 13 News Now app. Well, of course, we had our very own storm here yesterday. That coastal storm never strengthened to a tropical system, but it did hit us with heavy rain and wind.
The worst may be over, but there is still lingering effects heading into the holiday weekend right now, especially in the Outer Banks. Red flag and rip current warnings in Nags Head are expected to last the entire week. Dare County emergency management officials are warning people to stay careful.
It looks like it's going to be a little bit less impact than we had anticipated, but we're still having some heavy rains, some winds, and people still need to be cautious as they get out and about. When red flags are flying, people shouldn't be in the water. That's why they're up. Can't tell people any more strongly to stay out of the water.
Officials also say to keep an eye on the roads, too. Some could remain partially flooded out while it's drying out.